Ray Dalio warns that we're on the brink of a recession due to structural inflation. Ray Dalio is one of those billionaires who, regardless of his actions, is always considered controversial. Come on, controversy is part of this man. The tycoon is in a position at Bridgewater Associates, which may well be the largest and most important hedge fund in the world. This should give you enough context to understand why his opinion is so important, of course, at least financially and economically. The latest statements that this man in such an important position gave to the press are rather dispiriting, and the time has come to talk about them. Bridgewater Associates is one of the largest hedge funds in the world. Well, actually, it would not be an exaggeration to say that it might be the largest fund of all. However, the subject is not our concern today, so we'll not talk about Bridgewater. This time, we're much more interested in the boss in charge of the fund, the ever-controversial man known as Ray Dalio. Despite the constant controversies, Dalio remains a businessman with a tremendous fortune and an enviable name, which is why everyone in the world of economics and finance always looks to him for his opinion, because the tycoon knows what he's talking about. So is Dalio involved in the controversy this time, or did he give an opinion that all the experts agree with? The answer is a bit complicated, but possibly a bit of both? I know you already want to know all about this case, but first I must invite you to watch this video, because it will help give you some context and understand the Dalio thing a little bit. In case you don't have time to watch it, don't worry, we'll do our best to explain the case in detail in this video. But before we start talking about the statements, we recommend that you subscribe to the channel so that you're always up to date with the latest news and development in the world of business and entrepreneurship. Just click on the red bell and YouTube will do the rest. That said, it's time to talk about the case. So bring out the tycoon in you and prepare for the worst, because we've already started. The implications of Dalio's statements. The tycoon recently met and spoke to the Australian Financial Review. What was the reason for the interview? Simple. The newspaper wanted to know the billionaire's opinion on the future of the normal economy. And what did the tycoon discuss with the newspaper? Well, Dalio warned that interest rates would start to fall from 2024. This was the least interesting decision on his part, but worth mentioning. Come on, let's talk about the really juicy stuff. The first thing the specialist emphasized was that we're in a monetary tightening, which causes corrections and downward movements in many assets because rising interest rates clash directly with incomes, which are always variable. It is really worth knowing in more detail Ray Dalio's statements. Let's go there. Ray Dalio's statements in detail. First of all, let's go to the exact words Dalio told the newspaper. The pain of that big Y will force central banks to loosen up again, probably sometime around the next presidential election in 2024. He said this in reference to the central bank having to lower rates once again to balance the economy. The next thing the billionaire insisted on was that the current rise in prices in the economy due to excessive monetary issuance would lead to structural inflation and consequently stagflation. It should be remembered that this phenomenon occurs when inflation rises, and in the process, there's an economic recession, and it should be noted that it is not a phenomenon that suits any country. Oh, and you should know that we haven't yet discussed the tycoon's most worrying statements. Hang on, because that's exactly where we're going. But before that, if you got to this part and are liking today's content, why not leave your like so that the video can be recommended to more people? That way, others can access and explore the various videos on the channel. Ready for that thumbs up? Alright, let's move on. The darkest statements of the interview. According to Dalio, this is in addition to corporate and government deficits, high taxes, and wide gaps between wealth and values. He insists that all these features are always present in all major crises, and that the United States will end up in a tremendously devastating civil war, though of course in a much less violent version of a war. The businessman was very emphatic in pointing out that while one power is at civil war, other foreign powers usually rise to challenge it in a risky period of time. This civil war took on a lot of importance during Dalio's speech. I guess you know what the next point is. The Civil War predicted by Ray Dalio. The tycoon explained that according to his analysis, financial conditions and zero differences between desires and values are the ideal recipe for a civil war. The billionaire also said that we're seeing much greater amounts of populism and extremism being mobilized and conflict between the left and the left, which is classic. Both sides are fighting to win over the entire right, and they're not willing to give in. Statements capable of worrying even a person with nerves of steel. The last thing Dalio added was an explanation of this worrying scenario, which, at least for now, is not a reality. The tycoon insists that the extremists will fight to win at all costs. Besides, they are the majority, and respect for the rule of law is secondary to them. It would eliminate the ability to compromise and create a fight to win such a civil war. Okay guys, we've discussed the whole case today. Just like the latest statements of Wall Street's top gurus, the forecasts of billionaire Ray Dalio are also sowing concern in our minds. Whatever the outcome, all the pundits make it clear that the economy is in a difficult transition period. Whether this period is for better or worse, only time will tell. Before ending the video, we would like to ask you a few questions because we'd love to know your opinion on the subject. Are you afraid of the possibility of a civil war? How much do you agree with Dalio's statements? Do you think the current transition of the economy will lead to a good outcome or a negative one? Don't forget to respond below in the comment box. That concludes today's video. Leave your comments on the video, and if you'd like to see a specific topic discussed on the channel, you can also leave your suggestions below. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. We'll see you next time.